So part 4 of the video series brings us to recruitment and orientation, where we follow up. After our follow-up letters, we look at the interview process. And here we're going to look at factors to be considered when preparing for a job interview. The first factor we need to take into consideration is the selection of attire. And we know that we create a first impression just by the way we look without even saying a word. So when preparing for the interview, selection of attire is very important. And in preparing for the interview, you should consider business-like attire, personal hygiene, shoes, hands and nails, the color of choice for your attire, the style of clothing, your hair, the type of jewelry worn, etc. And the minimal use of makeup for ladies. So excessive jewelry and makeup is to be avoided, and also the type of clothes that's best suited for the business environment should also be used. Deportment is another factor to be considered when preparing for an interview, and deportment really takes into consideration the way that you carry about yourself, your use of manners, your use of mannerisms, the way you speak, the way you address persons, the way you sit. And you know that we have learned in the communication unit that visuals, or what should I say, gestures, right, give an indication of communication without us even saying a word. So that type of communication where we communicate with facial expressions, you say lots just by raising an eyebrow, or the way you sit, the way you stand, etc. So deportment takes all of that into consideration, and avoid those types of mannerisms such as fidgeting with your hair, twiddling with your fingers, tugging clothes, slumping in your seat, chewing gum, smoking. So all of these things give indication of your deportment to the potential interviewer. Research on the organization is an important factor to be considered when preparing for a job interview, and it should be part of your preparation process. So as the interviewee, you should conduct some research on the company that you are going to be attending this interview with. That would show some research and interest on your part. So find out things such as, the nature of the business. What does this company do? How large is it? Are there any branches internationally, regionally? Is there only a branch locally? Or if so, how many branches are there locally of the organization? Look at the type and nature of the organization in terms of the structure. Is it a private company? Is it a sole trader? Is it a public company? Is it a government organization? So you need to do some research on the organization as part of your preparation process for the job interview. It's also wise to familiarize yourself with the location. How are you going to get there? How long it takes? Modes of transportation. And don't take anything for granted on the day of the interview. Get up and expecting to get there easily when you don't even know where it's located. And some interviewees typically visit the site like a day or two before, drive up to the location where the business is, or let someone take them there so that they can know exactly what route they need to take on the actual day of the interview. It's also wise when you are preparing for an interview to formulate questions that you think may be asked by the interviewer at the interview, and may be asked by you, the interviewee. So some questions at the interview may be things like, tell us about yourself. What are your expectations of the job? Why did you apply for the position? What challenges do you think the job will offer you? How do you occupy yourself in your spare time? Right? So, those are some questions that the interviewer may ask. And you too need to formulate some questions as the interviewee that may be asked at the end of the interview process or towards the end where the interviewer asks you, do you have any questions for us? So you can have a few of those questions in mind, which no doubt they will answer most of them in the interview. But towards the end of the interview, you can ask them, well, I would like to find out X, Y, or Z based on what questions were answered and asked at the interview. Okay? And looking at your conduct at the interview, that's important. And that is tied to the point that was made previously about deportment. So here we have the interview dress code. So for males, we're looking at, clean shaven or closely trimmed beard. And even if you have a beard, it should not be unruly. It should be well groomed. And for ladies, well groomed and neat and tidy, well groomed hairstyle. For men, white or light colored shirt, an unobtrusive tie, tailored suit, a belt, dark plain socks, and black shoes or brown shoes, but proper leather shoes, not sneakers. For ladies, you're looking at modest attire, and in this diagram, they are showing us a high neck shirt or blouse, a smart mid-length skirt or dress, and if you are wearing a suit, an appropriate pantsuit with a jacket. Jewelry should be kept to a minimum for ladies, and dark or neutral tights, so neutral colored stockings, or if you're wearing a pantsuit, neutral colors in your suit. And dark or low heel shoes. And one point to mention here is that open toe shoes are not a part of interview attire. The toes should be hidden for the interview, and as a matter of fact, it should be hidden. It should not be part of the dress code for as an employee in an organization. So they give here some earn extra points for glasses. I don't recommend using glasses if they are not needed, just to look intelligent. It should be for a purpose, either reading or actually seeing. The use of corporate colors. By gum there, they don't mean chew gum during the interview. They mean maintain fresh breath. So make sure that you practice proper hygiene, have a bath, brush your teeth before the interview. And polished shoes as opposed to dirty shoes or shoes with mud, shoes with things stuck on it that gives an appearance that you didn't even take the time to think about your appearance. So some tips that they have here: lose points for, and they have identified body piercings, stains, sports shoes, smelling bad, which comes back to proper hygiene, and tattoos on display, which some organizations do not allow the use of tattoos. So if you know that you have a tattoo that may be taken as offensive or may cause some contention by the interviewer, that should be covered up. So let's have a look now at some pictures here, and let's make a determination on whether they are suitable attire for an interview or not. So given the points that were named, this first picture or this first image, is it suitable or not suitable? Right? And based on the points that we have looked at, the answer is no. Second image, is that suitable or unsuitable? So the answer would be unsuitable for an interview. Third image, is that attire suitable or unsuitable for an interview? And the answer would be unsuitable. Fourth image, is that attire suitable or unsuitable? And the answer would be suitable. Fifth image, is that attire suitable or unsuitable? And the answer would be unsuitable for an interview. And our last image is that attire suitable or unsuitable for an interview? And the answer would be suitable. So you have a clear indication of a suitable and unsuitable attire for an interview. And if we look and zone in at some past paper questions that may be asked along the lines of part 4 in the video series, which focused on the interview, these questions are: list 3 ways to prepare for a successful interview. During a job interview for a receptionist's position to work in a bookstore, you are asked to explain the terms physical deportment and copyright infringement. Write your responses in the spaces provided. And those answers, the one on copyright infringement, I know may be covered in your EDPM class, and that was not the focus of this video. But you will be able to answer question 2, parts A and B, part 1. Another question extracted from a CSEC past paper. Ayana recently graduated from the School of Excellence, and they highlighted some questions that she was asked at the interview. And for these questions, you are asked to write 2 appropriate responses that Ayana could give. So I'm challenging you to answer those CSEC past paper questions as part of this video tutorial wrap up on part 4, which would be examining the interview process as part of the Recruitment and Orientation section of the Office Administration syllabus. So good luck to you.